When I have a sick fish, we use rainwater. They recover. What is it about water? Well, water can be either acid or alkaline without you adding anything to it. Do you know that? If the water is negatively charged, it is alkaline. If it contains a lot of positive charges, it becomes acidic. Like carbon dioxide and all that will make water very acidic. It's called acid rain. But you can make it acidic by passing a current through it. You can make water into an acid without you putting anything to it. It's still water. But you take that water and you take a pin or you take a nail and you drop into acid water. Within 24 hours, half of that will dissolve. Yep. There's nothing in there. It's just a water with a different charge. That is all. We never used to understand this. The Japanese were one of the first people to understand and appreciate the importance of this. Your nutrients depends on whether your water is acid or alkaline. It will affect your absorption of nutrients. If you take the wrong type of water, you're not absorbing anything. If you take the right, unless it's the right type of water. It helps nutrients to dissolve. If you take alkaline water, you take an apple, you put inside, half the apple you put in the normal tap water, which is acidic. Within 5 to 10 minutes, the water that is alkaline or rainwater, that water will turn brown. What is that brown color? Insecticide. It will, all the stuff will dissolve into that water. But if you take acid water, which is out of your tap, and you put half an apple into it, which you buy from the market, it will still look clear. Run that test. Very interesting, you know. So if you want to wash insecticide off vegetables and all that, you need alkaline water, not acid water. It affects the cell membrane permeability. Well, I don't know how many of you have done biology, but the transport of food and waste and water in and out of the cell membrane depends on a charge. Do you know that? The charge changes and water goes in. The charge will change, the food goes in. The charge will change, the waste material in the cell comes out. Or you have too much acid in your body. What causes your body to be acid? Stress. Your body becomes very... Not enough oxygen. You live in an aircon room where there's no windows open. You develop acidosis. When you eat the wrong types of food, you get very acidic. You take a lot of sugars, you get very acidic. You take a lot of fried stuff like Southeast Asians do. Everything in this country is fried. Even I tried to buy Yong Tau Fu, I thought, wow, I'm so health conscious. I don't want to buy fried stuff. So I go to the Yong Tau Fu store. It's fried. They just pretend to put it into soup, but it's fried. So when you have acid in your blood, the cell membrane doesn't, the pores, the charge allows things to go in, but it doesn't change to allow things to go out. So what happens to these cells? They get toxic because it's like you, if you don't go to the toilet for 1 or 2 weeks, which I know some people don't. Huh? Some people go there once a week only. So you have all this poison inside the cell. 细胞, it's inside the 细胞. So what happens to this cell? It becomes poison. What happens? Two things happen. It either dies or it changes. And when it changes, we call it cancer. Water can neutralize acid generated by stress, wrong nutrition, drugs, and environment. That's how it works as an antioxidant. But it has to have the right charge. The ionic charge, which is useful for us, will give you water which has a pH between 7.5 to 8.5. That will reduce all the acid in your body. That's the water you should bathe with. That's the type of water you should wash your hair with. That's the type of water you should be giving your pets. And if you can't afford that machine, buy one for your dog and cat because they deserve it. What are some of the observations by the Japanese about water? Water has energy. We know that. You put a dam across a river, The water comes down, gives you electricity, right? It's called hydroelectricity. It's from the water coming down. It contains an energy. It contains information. Change water properties. Crops and animals grow differently. You have two water, you put one acid, you put one neutral, and when you put one alkaline, they will grow differently. Same water, just a different charge. Water is very different from the top of a mountain to the bottom in your longkang here. Very different. I'm not talking about the contaminants. Assume there's no contaminants. Looks different, tastes different. You go to a mountain stream, you can run a test. There's nothing inside, but you drink it, different taste. It invigorates you. You take water out of the tap, it does not invigorate you. Because by the time the water comes down from the mountain, down to your rivers, down to your dams, the information of life is lost. So that's why you will read somewhere they call it dead water. Dead water. Everything in the universe can carry information. Everything has direction, function, and true randomness in the universe does not exist. A piece of plastic, an iron, it does not change its nature. It will always carry the same charge. Every mineral has its own shape and charge. Every crystal, a diamond today is still a diamond a million years later. It doesn't change its looks and all that. Everything has information. If you take a snowflake and look at a snowflake, that design on a snowflake will take you hundreds of man-hours on the computer to design that. That's memory. It is not random. You cannot have a snowflake which is twisted and no, it is a perfect. Nature is as perfect as it can get. Imperfection is us. Can we put information onto other substances? Of course you can. There. What's this? What is the computer made of? Silicon chips. You can put memory onto silica. Thumb drives. Wow, now the memory is gigabyte. When I first bought my first thumb drive, megabyte, right? You look at a thumb drive, that size. How much memory? It's got pictures, it's got color, it's got sound. Because you use it, you never ask yourself, how do I put memory onto that? If this was 100 years ago, you show someone, they'll burn you at the stake. They think you're a witch. Correct? So don't develop that kind of mentality. Everything is possible. Everything is possible. You can put information on anything. In my day, I put information on a plastic strip. It's called a tape. I mean, you probably haven't. You remember a tape? Videotape. It's a piece of plastic, but it can play music. You can have pictures on it. People say, oh, your water cannot remember. Really? How stupid are you? You can put memory onto anything. You can put memory onto a pen. You can actually alter all you do is alter the molecules in there, and it will carry memory. So how does water carry memory? Water is H2O, 2 hydrogen, oxygen. The oxygen and hydrogen have a very loose bond. You can break it anytime. This loose bond is between a negative and positive charge, but it's called a hydrostatic bond. It can break. So water actually occurs in clusters. If you can way of looking at it, water are in clusters. That clusters change shape depending on whether or not you pass a current through it. It does. And the opening and closing of this, when it opens and closes, you can make it open and close by applying another outside force to it. What do you think opening and closing? The 0 and 1, those who do engineering and computer science. That's a switch. That's what a computer silicon chip operates on. 0 and 1. You open and you close. The number of opening and closing at nanoseconds gives you information. And that is how you store information on silicon chips. That's how you can store information on metal filings. That's how you store information on plastic. That's how you can store information in simple old water. And they observe, the Japanese observe, that if you take water and you put it through pollution, that is what it starts looking like. The water crystal starts to deform. And the Japanese scientist that looked at this, he wrote a lot of books, printed a lot of papers. He's a scientist. It's called Dr. Emoto, Masaru Emoto. And he was saying, water crystal is a piece of information. He wrote this book. Imagine the iceberg, which has been around for millions of years, right? Contain a lot of information. Imagine you go to the North Pole, you take a piece of ice, and you can decode it. I'm sure it'll happen one day. Imagine the amount of information, the universe, the information about the universe, the formation of the universe, millions of years ago is trapped in ice. Do you imagine that? It will happen. As I speak, people are working on that already. The next one, rest. It's important to realize rest is necessary to repair and house clean. Your body needs to slow down, needs the main machine needs to shut down. So the rest of the machine, the cleaning needs to come around, get rid of all the rubbish, the toxins in your body, the metabolic waste, all needs to be cleared out of your bloodstream, out of your organs. But people always think rest means sleep. No. You ask her, you know how many hours I sleep every day? Sometimes 3, sometimes 4. When I'm on holiday, maybe 6, 7. But most of the time, 3 or 4 hours. I'm up before she is. I go to bed when she's already asleep. I was up, I think the last 2 weeks, I slept maybe 20 hours. You don't have to sleep to get rest. In fact, some people sleep a lot, they don't get rested. If you get good rest, it means that when you wake up, you feel refreshed. If you wake up and you still feel tired, you are not resting. You could be sleeping, but when you wake up, you have not rested. I have a way of resting, it's called a power nap. You can read about it. A power nap means I switch my brain off like that, and I fall asleep. I'm unconscious. I'm actually unconscious. I don't dream. 15 minutes, half an hour. And when I wake up, I'm more rested than you are after you've had 10 hours of sleep. The best rest is REM. REM means rapid eye movement. When your eyes start flicking, when someone's asleep, that is good. When you have a lot of dreams, when you make a lot of noises when you're sleeping, hey, you're tired when you wake up. Huh? That is not rest, you know. That is stress. Even in your sleep, you're doing things or running away or monsters chasing you. That is not rest. You're more tired when you wake up. However, not all individuals share the same types of rest. You need to give people that kudos. We tend to think everybody must be like us. They must have 6 to 8 hours of sleep, otherwise it's not rested. And we make fun of people who don't sleep like that. I have a friend. He's now 58. He hasn't slept since he was young. I think 4 or 5 years old, as far as he can remember. He never slept. And according to the medical textbook, he should be crazy by now. But he's not. So the university is doing study on him. His body can go into alpha rhythm. He can go, it's just like the yogis and all that. His body would just go into this flat line, alpha rhythm. And he's resting. He's not asleep. He's resting. Then the body starts to repair. You can't do that. You can't do that. It's not called sleep. You go and look you talk to people who do yoga or the Kung Fu masters. They can rest, but they're not asleep. Asleep means that's asleep. You take a knife and you want to stab a Kung Fu master who is resting. Oh, he will get you before you can put a knife into his back because he's actually awake, but his mind is resting. He's experiencing alpha rhythms. Fresh air. That's the only slide I have because we don't get a lot of that, so we don't need to talk about it. Because where to find fresh air? Exercise. Why exercise? I got 4 flights of stairs in my new hospital. There's no lift. But everybody complains. Oh, you got to go up and down, you got to go down, you got to grab it. Hey, it's free, you know. It's exercise. I'm not charging you for it. Go up and down as many times as you want. It's exercise. It's good for you. What does it do? It triggers release of specific body chemicals. Endorphin is one of them. You produce all of this stuff. Adrenaline is another one. It's very good for you. Important for growth and immune system development. A lot of chemicals get released. Growth hormone, all of that. It helps to distribute nutrients around the body, because only when you're moving is your heart, with your blood vessels pumping, because your muscles pump the vessels. If you don't, everything is just tired. But it's not just nutrients not getting into it, but all the waste is just sitting there. When you're exercising, everything's pumping, your muscles are going. You're bringing in nutrients, and you're getting rid of waste via the lymphatics. That's why if your legs swell all the time, you go on a plane, right? You don't move around. You get off the plane, some of you throw your shoes off. Hey, do you have a lot of trouble getting your shoes back on? Oh, yes, because it swells up. Why does it swell up? What takes the water away? Your lymphatic system. How does the lymphatic system work? There's no pump. Your muscles. But if you don't walk, you don't exercise, your lymphatic just gets stagnant. And all the waste material is there. In fact, there's a condition in people that kills them when they sit down for too long. Everything gets stagnant and they develop clots. It's called deep vein thrombosis. DVTs. People fly, they come down and they drop dead. Or they have to go to hospital within 24 hours because this clot that has formed starts to move up, goes into the lungs or goes into the heart. DVT is a real problem for people who don't exercise a lot, who sit down a lot. You can get DVT if you work in on a place where there's just a computer. All you do is sit there. You never move. And if you have to move, your wheels are on rollers. You just push. And you slide. And you push again, you slide. I've seen people in the office, they just use the wheels to slide them here and there. Going, they're too lazy to just get up and walk. Or if they have to get up, they use the escalator. You know, when I get off a plane, unless it's a very long distance, I usually try and walk rather than use the travelator if I'm not tired. That's the way to get my system moving again, especially long trips. You fly from here to Europe or you fly here to America. Get that system moving. Your body needs that. It strengthens your muscles, tendon, ligament, bone, heart, lung, kidney. If you have a kidney stone, I used to, what do? My urologist tells me, Dr. Lai, drink a lot of water and go jogging. So when you go jogging, your muscles and your kidneys are moving, it gets rid of the stone. The stone comes out. That's how I passed my stone. Now, what's in the food? We are saying, very hard to talk about balanced diet. So what we talk? Optimized diet. Optimization is what I use. Optimize the diet. It has to be nutritious. It's got to be but for most of us, especially Southeast Asians, actually Asians also, we never talk about nutritious, we talk about tasty. Big difference between tasty and nutrition. Big difference. If you take an onion, you fry it, it becomes more tasty, right? But nutritionally, it's worse than a raw onion. Salted eggs, bak kwa. Wow, tastes great. You eat that all the time. You are asking for trouble. Tasty, but not nutritious. Optimal? No. You need a clean water source. Always drink filtered water. But if you can, ionize it. Get rid of the bad memory. Water carries a lot of bad memory. It depends on where it comes from. So ionize it. You can get around it. You can ionize it. That also removes the bad memory. God knows what memory is in there, down the toilet. Could be curry, durian, don't know. All the wrong memories. You need not only good water, but air. How do you get good air? Now they have a machine for doing that. You use plasma. Plasma. Don't talk about negative ion. That's very dangerous. Use plasma. Plasma is safe. Use plasma filters to ionize and clean the air. The trouble with negative ions, first of all, they only last a few months and they stop working because everything is all clogged up. Second thing about negative ions, it doesn't just clean, but it produces ozone. Small amounts of ozone is poisonous. It's very poisonous. It's a free radical. Low acid diet, well, I think for the rest of you, forget about that. Just drink alkaline water to neutralize it. If I talk about low acid diet, you're not going to eat after this.